Happy Friday, Christy.
Hello, Kelly.
You know what it is when it's Friday?
Best day of the week. Time to get vertically unstable.
It is time to get vertically unstable. I don't know about your week. Most of my week was unstable, so.
My life's unstable, Kelly. So the vertically unstable is just, the newness of it is the vertical part, right? I used to be, hanging out on the ground unstable. And now I'm up a little bit higher going, shit, this is all going to fall and we're screwed.
Well, it's really just the whole meaning of the podcast, isn't it? The higher you go, the less you think is really beneath you, keeping you afloat. It is all a house of cards.
Wow, we're super, super charming today.
We are super charming.
Raise your hand if you're listening to this podcast and you've had your ass kicked this week.
Yeah, exactly.
So
raise your hand. We are going to dedicate our entire topic today to the whole idea of getting your ass kicked.
We are. Specifically, there's certain types of ass kicking. And, this podcast is entitled Strong Girl Shit When the Rock Starts to Crumble. But we still have to send out the group text.
That is basically the life of every working and or just stay-at-home mom trying to keep the shit together.
Or just women in general. So,
yeah, true.
I don't know, Kelly, about you, but I tend to be the rock in situations. Unless it's actually not important, and then I'm like the waves. But when it comes to real critical shit, whether it is personal or professional, something happens to me when a crisis arises, and I become incredibly rational and action-oriented. And I just get shit done. Period.
You are the stable version of the person who can lift the car in the middle of an emergency.
I also work out, so that helps with my muscles.
Okay, sure. This is some strong girl shit. I could talk about my hot Pilates last night, which is I walk around like a zombie today because I'm so sore. That's not strong girl shit. We were talking about something different though, and I think it's so true. And I think I would fall in the same category, like the go-to person who knows where the shit is in the house, how to fix the Wi-Fi, how to log back into the fucking Apple ID, like where the number of times I've said to my family, if I die, you're all fucked. I think I say it hoping someone's going to raise their hand and be like, hey, let me help with that. Or, hey, that seems like a real potential for problems for us. We should probably remediate that. But that doesn't happen.
I feel like when you say that, you're empowering them to do nothing.
They're like, she got it.
She knows her role. She's got this.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we just keep this bitch alive. We're all good.
Okay, when you're the rock, Christy, what is the biggest lie you tell yourself?
I'm fine.
So totally.
Anyone who's known me long enough or paid any attention, some people have known me a long time and didn't pay any attention, but if my answer is it's fine or I'm fine, it means it's incredibly fucked, but I will figure it out. Apologies to my mother for all the F-bombs on this podcast, but the topic needs F-bombs. I tell myself I'm fine. I'm like, I'm fine. Just get to the weekend. Just get to this, whatever. And I get very busy between work, social, children's sports, and my kids. And not in that order, guys. Okay. Clearly my kids are first. But, I get to this place where I will say, I am fine. My emotional, physical, whatever needs don't matter. I'm just going to get past whatever point, whatever imaginary line I draw, and I'm just like, let's go.
Yeah.
How about you? What do you tell yourself?
It's definitely, I'm fine. This is fine. So much so that my team at work, they're brand leaders and they love a good experiential, thing. So their jam is birthdays and decorating offices for birthdays. And so they've done, a couple years ago, they decorated my room and all of my favorite things to the tune of the Von Trapp family. So they were all in my family on my walls. And then it was all Tim Hortons, my dog, and Ryan Reynolds. Again, not necessarily in that order, but those are a few of my favorite things. We can come back to that.
So go
Okay,
ahead, but
go,
I
go.
want to go back to the Von Trapps here in a second.
Okay,
Continue.
okay. And this year, after a very tumultuous year in business for everyone, I think, my team was
Wait,
I'm
hold on. This year? You mean
this past, like 2024, my birthday's in September. So my office in September was decorated in that meme of the fox or whatever the fuck, the dog with the dumpster fire behind him that says, "I'm fine. This is fine."
it's all okay?
They decorated my entire office in flames. They even put the Christmas fire log thing you can put on your TV with the crackling fire. There were fireball shots decorated in my office and a little treasure hunt where I could find the rest of the fireball shots because they know their boss. And just the point was, I really thought that all the times I'm like, it's fine, guys. This is fine. We're going to get through this, that they were buying my BS. When they decorated my office like that, I was like, oh, okay, maybe they can see through my facade.
Except they need you to say it's fine. They expect you to say if it's fine. And if God forbid you told the truth, it's not okay and we're all fucked. I mean,
Exactly.
what would happen, right? It would be pandemonium.
It would
And
it would be. Can you imagine? I worked in Emerge. I took call in emergency for about 8 years. Can you imagine if you came in and you were like, "Well, we're fucked."
sorry, that was
You're
the
the one
point.
on the bed. You're the one on the stretcher. Wait a minute. This is not feeling very good.
So I worked in advertising and marketing my whole career, and I have so many times after getting off a call that went nowhere, or where this is always my favorite, and not that I don't do this too, I usually do it when I'm drinking, but where people are saying the same thing in different ways and they are in violent agreement.
Yeah.
Now, traditionally, I'm only in violent agreement when I've been drinking and I'm just not listening to a single fucking word that's coming out of your mouth.
Yeah.
But when I get off calls where everyone's in violent agreement, saying it just slightly different way, I'm like, thank God, we're not like heart surgeons. Thank God, someone would be dead. Someone would be dead right now if we all just sat here in this meeting, and if the purpose of the meeting was to save this person, they're dead. They are so beyond dead because now they're like, their left atrial appendage is connected to their butt. I mean, it's just a mess.
Well,
But
I mean, here's
sorry,
the good news in that scenario. The debt is also an answer because you don't need to problem solve anymore.
Kelly.
Hey, listen, I mean, I've been on the other side, literally the heart surgeons. Not that I am one, but representing the things that they do in medical. And I've had to remind my teams when it's gotten really crazy with a lot of dumb fuckery. I'm like, you guys do realize that we don't sell paper clips, right? You know what we sell. Like,
Well,
get
and
our
I've
shit together.
I've helped you in that quest, right? I work in medical device. I help them sell their things. But again, it's still not performing surgery on someone on the table. And that's why like a lot of doctors have like god complexes because you kind of have to.
Well, you kind of have to be cool in a crisis and really confident that it is fine. That like the right knee bone's connected to the whatever other bone.
Don't ask me anatomy. I'm terrible at it.
I
I
should have
can
picked
do
it, maybe the thigh bone, but a different
well,
song.
we'll start
Hey,
doing geography or something like
no,
Georgia's
and I'm
connected
out.
to what,
And I'm
Kelly?
out. The fuck if
Any
I
state,
know.
pick a state. Okay, but backing
Florida.
up.
I mean, on one side or
Georgia
the other.
Florida line. Yeah, there's a band.
Fuck yeah.
There we go. How we remember things. But going back to it's fine. So
Yeah.
I used to say this a lot. People will come to you when they've made a mistake. And whether if you're the rock personality, and maybe we can talk about what it looks, how do you know if you are a rock personality? If you're that person that people are like, everything's a mess, I'm just gonna hang on to this rock.
Yeah, exactly. Go ask this person.
Go ask they will know.
Yeah,
I'm
they
like,
will know.
well, so two things on that one. One, I always tell people it's okay. It's not a mistake as long as it can be fixed,
Yes.
right?
Yes. True.
Because most things in life, if you just wait 24 hours, guess what? Or maybe even 48, it's not so important.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Especially if you work, and this is work advice. So if you work for a very large company, a lot of times, I don't know if you've had this happen to you. I worked in telecom, so I've definitely had this happen to me where the CMO, C-suite, whatever is like, okay, we're going to do this. Let's make this happen overnight. Something that's completely impossible. And it's like changing every offer you've ever done and undercutting someone and then also fixing all your IT behind it. And everyone starts to freak out. And I'm like, have y'all not done this enough to know that if you just pause, in
Take a beat.
24 hours, something else will be more important that they will care about. And you don't actually have to solve whatever fuckery they just asked you to do.
I think that there's lots of rules in our industry, right? You can't go willy nilly talking shit about stuff that's not real, at least not in my industry.
Well,
And
you're in medical. I mean,
which,
the
yeah,
rest of
maybe
the
other
brand,
industries, maybe
they're not
telecom is different.
regulated, let's
Yeah, okay.
say.
But in ours, the litmus test that we always use when it's getting a bit crazy pants is it illegal? Is it immoral? Or is it unethical? If the answer to all of those three questions is no, then okay, let's just figure it out, right? Like if we're not breaking the law, this isn't something that you would be ashamed to tell your grandma about, and this isn't something that breaks your moral code, then we're good. Like let's figure this out.
I agree with that. I mean, you've clearly never worked for a soda company, but
No, yeah, true.
but also I think where the push comes to shove in that equation is the moral compass because everyone has a different one.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I have witnessed people in corporate America that I'm like, that would sell their grandmother.
No,
I'm sorry. This is a
no,
very dark day, guys. It's raining out. The weather's crap. I thought I was getting spring and we're back to cold weather. So
no.
bear with me, bear with me. So going back to this idea of a being the rock.
Yeah. How do you
What do
know if
you
you're
how do
how
you
do you
know
know?
if you're a rock
I
person?
feel like when you know that phrase, if you want something done, go ask the busiest person.
Mhm.
And I think for a lot of people, they look at that as like an honorable thing to say you are is busy. I think that that's actually a sign that you might be the rock when everyone comes from soup to nuts of random stuff. I'll give you an example. Oftentimes, we get into any meeting and the computer connection isn't working or the display doesn't go up on this, whatever. And invariably, somebody will say, "Well, ask Kelly. She's IT. She'll help it." I, for the record, am the furthest thing from IT. I just happen to be the person, like you mentioned, who will figure it out, right? This is a problem. I'm fine. This is fine. We'll figure it out. So, when the rest of the people start coming to you for those things that are unrelated to your job, to your title, to whatever, you might want to sit back and think, "Uh-oh, I may be getting this badge of the rock." That's my take. What do you think?
I get that. So it's funny because I'm terrible at IT as well, but if something's going wrong, I'm happy to hit buttons and unplug shit till it works. And I think, and then people are like, Christy fixed it. I'm like, Christy has no idea what she just did. I think, the definition of a rock to me, going back to the IT part, is if you are your friends, families, and work people's IT person, as well as their emotional triage nurse.
Mm,
And if you can fill both of those roles,
that's right brain, left brain.
you are probably the rock
Eh,
because anything in between those two things you will handle.
Yeah. And I like that actually I like that as a differentiation from let's just go back to mom or woman in general, where you generally speaking also remember when the hydro bill is due and you remember when Timmy's birthday party is and what you have to get for loot bags and you have all these other things. Sorry if I'm triggering your weekend or
No,
anything you have
no,
to remember.
no, no.
But I think
Don't
what
worry, Violet's gift is downstairs,
okay,
wrapped
perfect.
on, yeah,
On the
it's fine,
table.
on the table.
But what you're talking about is something different, right? Like what you're talking about is the value of having somebody for whom the rest of the family knows that they can remove those thoughts and disturbances from their mind because somebody else has it, right? You're like the firefighter, but you're also the therapist. And so they don't need to aspire or take their time in their day to be that person. So they can just go do whatever fun shit they want to do. So, and I don't think that the Rock is I don't always think that the Rock is the mom, but I mean, it's definitely me because it's like, hey, can you get the Wi-Fi password? And also, I'm not feeling so great today. Can you pump my tires a little bit? I'm feeling like an imposter. So you're kind of doing the two, which are very different. And also, the dishwasher's leaking. Got any ideas?
Well, No one's ever gonna come to me for a mechanical problem. That's where I fall down. That's like a
You're like,
hard,
I can start
straight.
pressing buttons.
I mean, actually, probably here. Well, I say that, but one time my mom needed her garage code changed like immediately, and it was nighttime and it was late, and but she wanted it changed. And listen, what Mary wants in my world, she gets.
Mary
So
Catherine Gallagher needs that stuff done.
right, okay, minus the Gallagher, but yes, but she has earned the right to say, I know it's 9 o'clock at night. I know you don't know how to change a code to a garage door opener, but can you come do it? And you know what my answer is? I'll be
Yeah,
right there.
I'll be right.
So
She
of course,
birthed the baseball team. That woman deserves to have you all on
amen,
retainer.
sister, amen. But so, but I guess here's the thing. I say that about mechanical, but if I want to figure it out, I will. So, like, for instance, that night, after 45 minutes of YouTube videos and looking up every different type of model that this thing could have been that had like the code worn off, so you couldn't see
Yeah.
which
Oh,
model
yeah.
it was.
Yeah. It's 30
After,
years old.
Jesus, I mean, after the 15th try, it
Okay.
worked.
You got it. There you
So,
go.
okay, yes, I can do all of the things if I absolutely have to. But what's interesting about these like rock type of people ask me very absurd things. My children mostly, because they think I don't know anything, but also know everything, which is very
Yes.
interesting. I
You're
know
so
nothing, but
stupid. Yeah. You're so dumb, but also, do you know?
what's really interesting is when, and I'm not saying I'm the only rock in my life. I know other rocks. You're a rock. And I have my own rocks, but like when the rock starts to get on the verge of a cliff.
A mental collapse.
So you're the rock, but you've moved from the safety of the plateau and you're
Yes.
teetering. Where's the rock thing coming from? I think it's coming from your spring break
My
trip.
Moab, my Mo I
That's
was
what it is. I'm like,
as
why?
you're telling me this, I am flashing back to all of those rocks that we could see that feel like this goes back to Disney, like that's a plant. There's no way that that giant ass rock fell off the top and teetered on this tiny little tiny rock and it's this but apparently it did. And you think, well, it's a strong wind and that shit's going to blow over. Nah, for the most part it stays there, but eventually those rocks do crumble. So that's a good question. The moment you snap, we'll call it.
What makes you
What
snap, Kelly?
what makes me snap?
Yeah, like what is the minute that you like lose it and you are like,
Can I will
F
unproud.
this, F you, you're cool, I'm out.
I I
That's a
have
movie
one.
line. That's a
I
movie
have,
line.
oh, I'm out. F this, F you. I'm out. Okay. I had a movie line back before when you were talking about moral compasses, and I remembered the shrimp in the Shark Tale. You're a bad person. Anyways,
Did you say that?
it was in my head. Now I said
Oh,
it
okay,
out
I was
loud.
like, because for a second I'm like,
No, I didn't say it on
Kelly,
the podcast.
perhaps this rock has teetered off the cliff
You're like, did I
and
miss it?
fallen into the ocean because I, for the life of me, do not remember you saying that. So thank you for clarifying because I
Yeah,
was like,
no, it was in my head. It was in my head. I will tell you, have I snapped? Yeah, for sure. My least proud moment, and I can't remember the circumstances, but it's sometimes the straw is not at all related to all the other things that were piled on the camel's back. But the straw that broke my back one night was my daughter, her inability or resistance to eat her dinner. She had a girlfriend over, the 2 boys were at the table, my husband and I were there. I had made quiche, and I love quiche, and say what you will
do
about
you?
it. Yeah, I do. And I think also, like, I made a lot of family dinners, like, all the time because that's how I grew up, so that's what I did, and this one particular night, there must have been a million other work-related things that were stressing me out, and the boys were at an age where you're like where you are right now, where you're traveling all the time, and my daughter refused to eat her quiche. We're talking 45 minutes. Like, this is a good long amount of time at the table. The boys are getting frustrated. Why is their sister being such a pain in the ass? And despite her friend being at the table, and God bless the close friendship I have with that family, I looked at Emery and I remember saying, "Eat your fucking quiche." She was 9. I could see everyone's face at the table and their immediate recognition that I had snapped, and my immediate remorse at being such a horrible mother. We ate her
Listen,
quiche. And I took my glass of wine and I went up to my room and I cried.
I hope you took the bottle with you, not just the glass.
I think maybe my husband followed me with the
With the bottle. He's like, "Here, crazy." But can I just say, in my friend Kelly's defense, if Emery being told to eat her fucking quiche is the worst thing that you did, I mean, there's so many things in there that make that, like,
not a big deal.
high privilege. I mean,
Okay, what's yours? Where's your moment that was like worse than this? Yeah, we'll call those dumb fuckeries.
well, this is one is just like, I literally, I am incapable of watching someone be bullied.
Mm,
I am incapable of watching people be lied to.
mm,
So professionally, I have lost my shit when those things happen. When someone's being bullied or like a member of my team, if a client's treating them like shit, I'm like, this is true story. One time I had a team and lots of teams, but this particular team, the client that we worked with that they had to work with was awful.
mm.
And she was mean to them. Now she was cool with me, but like she like belittled them. Like I listened in on one call she didn't know that I was on, and I literally booked dinner with her, flew to the city that she was in and said, "Listen, Kay, you're a bitch to my team and they're going to quit and I'm going to have to keep replacing them."
Mm.
Which is gonna make you really unhappy because you won't have any, long-term knowledge of your business because you're constantly retraining people.
You feel like that's snapping though? I feel like that is
She
just rude.
cried. I mean, everything just freaking changed. Me snapping. Okay, let's
Because I feel like I mean, I think that is amazing, like mama bear leadership. So I wouldn't look at that as snapping. That you like very calmly booked a dinner and then you gave it to her in a very private setting, which is actually probably the right way. Now, could you have massaged the words? Sure, maybe. But to me, the
but I
snap,
didn't want to. I was like, you're a
yeah,
bitch and you're
yeah.
being a bully and you're being mean.
Well, I love that. To me, the snapping is like immediate.
Oh, okay. So let's talk about snapping. Well, so recently at a therapy session, so I took my kids with me, by the way. I have
Okay.
a great therapist. I love him. I've been through at least 30 because my life's interesting. But this particular one's amazing. I'm actually going to teach us something at the very end of this podcast that he taught me for
Okay.
those of us that start to feel when you're feeling on the edge, but that's coming later.
The
The
precipice of the
precipice, the
snap.
precipice. But when I've snapped, oh my gosh, especially I will so I went into him because while I was in Spain, there was definitely a few situations with my 10-year-old who was being a 10-year-old, which is, "Oh, this is cool, but I'm also a narcissist and I fucking want everything and nothing's ever good enough." And that's just who they are,
Hmm.
right? At 10, that's like,
It's all about me.
yeah, I mean, and like here, I'm like, am I raising a narcissist? Is she going to be a narcissist? But I snapped when I made her go to the top of this hill. So I told you about the park. Didn't I tell you about the park?
You did,
Park
yeah.
grill or
And it was
whatever.
closed, and then you had to do the
And then I
stairs.
made her go up the rest of the stairs and I got to
Yes.
the top and I was so pissed off. And I literally, and she's like, "Great job, mom." I mean, she could not. And I was like,
In a shitty tone?
in a shitty tone. And I was
Ooh.
like, "Must be nice to be you, kid." And I was like, "You have the best fucking life of anyone I know." I'm sorry, my dog is barking. God knows what's wrong with the dog. But I went off on her and I felt so bad and so guilty that I took this to my therapist. Who
Okay,
starts
so
laughing, by the way? He's
I'm
like, "Go ahead." What?
I was going to ask what your therapist did with that. But before you feel too bad, and I'm sure he righted you in all of that, did you see The Morning Show, the series on Apple TV?
Yes.
So
Where she's,
remember when Jen Aniston, like, fuck you,
"You
kid?
kid."
And she's like, that, I mean, I'm sure I would have taken the bottle of wine to my room after that, but that was like a hell yeah, mom. Like, that
But
was a good one.
I mean, I'm impressed that you remembered something that you
I
saw.
know. I know.
And you even got the words right. They
I know.
list the
Well,
initial
fuck you,
ones.
kid. I mean, that's easy to remember.
Well, I sent that to every single mom I know
Loved it.
because, like, seriously, fuck you, kid. Which gets back to, and I think it's this generation, but because if you go back to, like, I'm a Gen Xer, you're a Gen Xer. If you go back, like, how did you become a rock?
Yeah.
Like,
How did
I
we
don't
get
know
here?
about you, but none of the adults around me growing up were stable.
Yeah, and I certainly don't remember like signing up for it. And I'm the third child. So I'm the baby. I know you have 9, so the baby's way down there, but I'm the baby. So I'm supposed to be free and breezy and give 0 fucks. How did I become the emotional and like spiritual and just practical rock? I'm sure it's trauma or an innate desire need to get praised for being strong or a problem solver.
Yeah, that's there for me. For sure. But going back to the, like, the snapping part and, like, when you know you're gonna snap or even thoughts and feelings that you have, because now I realize that I answered the question incorrectly to begin with. I know when I'm about to snap, when I am like, God, if I could just get in a car wreck with, like, minor injuries to spend 3 days in the hospital and sleep.
Okay, well, take that one to your therapist because please unpack that one.
No, but just, like, the idea of
Of a
having
break. You need
Of
a break.
having to go to a hospital where, like, everyone's like, "Oh, are you okay?" Not that I wanna hear, "Are you okay?" But no one's gonna ask you for shit when you're in the hospital, right?
Yeah.
So, no, just to be clear, no one needs to call anyone. I don't wanna hurt myself. I don't have fantasies of hurting myself. I'm just saying every once in a while, I'm like,
You want a break.
it would be nice just to be in the hospital with no phone.
Yeah. I would say when I know I am going to snap. And again, my snap and your snap look different. And here's what I think it is because I am a people pleaser and I know you are too, but you have a much stronger sense of fuck this. Like you have no problem making a dinner reservation with someone and saying you're being a fucking bitch. I would be like, maybe I could say it in a different way. So here's what it is and I know this is a trauma response. When the person who does snap snaps, I observe and feel the shift in energy in everyone around, and it hurts my feelings.
I get that.
That's a soft way I feel. Hear it and it sounds really weak to me, and I realize it's not.
It's not actually, it's just you're highly
I'm
empathetic, which
I'm,
I am
I'm
as well,
very
by the way.
I'm
I
very
feel
empathetic.
everyone's feelings, which is why when you're a bully and you piss and when you do something bullying, I have no problem telling you you're a bitch
Right,
because I felt how those people feel and I feel
right.
their feelings. And so your feelings don't matter.
So when
Anyways,
I
going back, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. When I get into that place where I feel on the precipice of snapping, I self regulate the snap because I don't want the shit to get on everyone else. And then I'm also going to need to like nurture that from them and be like, oh, I'm really sorry. And even if I didn't do it, I'm Canadian. I say sorry a lot. I'm going to go and say, okay, sorry that happened to you. Sorry you had to hear that, whatever it is. And so my husband can have he can have a hair trigger in a drive through if he get his coffee order wrong. And it's like, fuck, and I'm just like, can you not? Like and I will say to him, he's like, but I feel better. And I'm like, well, I'm glad you did because you vomited it all on me, right? Because I'm going to absorb that energy. So I think that's why my snap looks different. So you're back to your question. How do I know I'm going to snap? I'm going to cry. That's what's going to happen because it's
Mm.
something that I don't do often. And it goes back to, these are not necessarily tears of sadness or tears of weakness. Sometimes they're rage tears or murder tears, but that's how my snap's going to come out. And it's not likely to come out where you see it. It's likely with my glass of wine up in my room and I'm just going to cry it out and get the steam out of the kettle and move forward, which is also probably not the best way.
No, I think that's a great way. I just cry all the time. So, like, for me, I mean, that's why I have fake lashes because if I were to ever to try to wear, I mean, I cry at least once a day. And it's just how my body like releases stress. I'm also like empathetic to a flaw.
Mm.
And one of the things I am working on is not everyone's problem is a Christy problem.
Right. We are not the solvers of the world's problems.
Yeah, I try to all the time. And you know what it ends up doing? I end up in a puddle of tears, upset and whatever. But I guess Like, the crying thing is always so funny thing to me because I know as women, we have been conditioned not to cry. Like, my 2 best friends don't cry.
My motto is don't cry in front of boys.
I'm gonna spend my life tearing that motto apart.
I tore my ACL in my right knee in a game of volleyball with men. So I'm the only woman playing. I get hit on the side by someone on my own team. I cannot describe to you what it felt like. It was horrible. It was worse than my first childbirth with no drugs. I remember
Okay,
I
really?
really, really, because it
For
is
that
such
1 second?
it's not 1 second, but
I've never torn an ACL.
it is an unnatural feeling where you know you're not meant to like, I can't even look at people in fights in shows get hit in the legs because 'cause I'm
No,
like,
ew.
"Ew." Anyways, so in that moment, I am sitting there on the floor and I'm like, "I'm fine, I'm fine. Just move me over to the side and continue to play. Could someone grab me some ice to put on my knee?" And I sat for the next 2 hours while they wrapped up the practice and then went to my car, started to cry in front of my husband and said, "Take me to the hospital." But my motto in my head is don't cry, don't cry. They're going to think you're weak. You're the only girl in here. Don't acknowledge how hurt you are. So
So, Kelly, I think I'll give you my therapist's number after this because what I wanna understand is what did Kelly gain from that?
zero things. None of the nothing, nothing. And you know what's interesting?
Kelly gained from sitting there for 2 hours in immense pain, not crying because there are men in the room.
Here's what let's like put this under the heading of the glow up of letting go. So
Letting go.
recently in a really challenging time of year this year, something happened where I could not hide from my family how stressed out I was. And it manifested in tears in real time in front of them all, my children and my husband. And it was then that they could see, fuck, like this isn't great. Something is wrong. And what happened is they all got invested in how can I help you?
I love that.
And so I realized that by not having to pretend that everything was fine, people were a little bit more conscious of how they were treating my heart or where they were contributing. And so that for me, there's my dog is
I was
like
like, "My dog's barking, your dog" are they
the
talking?
two of them are orchestrating. So, that for me was a moment where I was like letting go of this facade of I'm fine and everybody just coming to the party to help out. Similarly, I did it with my own team where, when they put this as my theme for my birthday, I was like, okay, I think maybe they can see this is a tough time. And so I just was really vulnerable and transparent and just basically was like, guys, like there's some challenges and we got to figure it out. I know we can figure it out. And I know that maybe I'm not showing up the way I want to, but I just want you to know it's because I'm trying to figure out how to fix this. And they all showed up for me. And I was like, huh, there might be something to this whole
Yeah,
vulnerability thing.
so it's interesting you say that. I'm very good at being vulnerable, especially with strangers. For whatever reason, like I have no problem. I actually posted something about this on my LinkedIn the other day, which I don't
Yeah.
post enough to. But it was about, the release of serotonin and oxytocin in your brain. I look at people like when I'm out in public, I make a conscious effort to look everyone in the eyes
Yeah. Me too.
because they're people, and guess what? They're probably struggling. So, a lot of times, because I'm highly empathetic, I will feel someone struggle, someone I don't know.
Hmm.
And I will share like something like this big about like, oh, how's your day? I'll be like, it's a Monday. How's your Monday?
Yeah.
And these strangers will just unload all these things because they just needed like it was
Somebody.
just like me to say a little bit like, yeah, it's not all okay right now, I'm not okay,
Yeah.
and not in that way, but for them to be able to feel safe enough to say I'm really fucking struggling.
Yeah, you're
and I
giving permission. You're giving
yeah
permission for them to show, hey, she's having a tough time too. Yeah.
and I think that's so important, especially as female leaders, but to be able to say I'm not okay, but that's okay.
Yeah. And I think
It's
it's
okay not to be okay. Like,
yeah,
it's okay to say, "I need help." Now, granted, the "I need help" one,
That's
I
harder.
suck at that. Like, I tell everyone all the time, I'm like, "Don't be an island, da 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 da." Meanwhile, I'm sitting there like,
I got this.
stacking up my like, "Don't let anyone see the palm tree over here or this over here." You know what I mean? Like, losing my shit. I
Yeah.
didn't, whatever. But like, I think I love the idea, and I understand why you wouldn't want to cry in front of a bunch of men. Like, I totally, especially as a Gen Xer, I get that, right? Because crying has always been associated with weakness.
Weakness.
And Kelly, I will tell you this. I know a lot about you. I would never use the word weak to describe you.
Mm,
Even if you were sitting there in a puddle of tears or a puddle of tears, a bottle of wine in, saying, I can't do this.
yeah.
There
I
is nothing about you that is weak. And so I think differentiating between weakness and being human.
I think that's what it is. And let's also throw that word vulnerability back in the mix and
Hmm.
don't equate that with weakness because those two things are very different. One of them is actually showing your heart to people and showing them how you really feel and what you're made of. And then it's got nothing to do with your ability to make decisions or move things forward. It's just saying, hey, I'm giving you a little window into what's inside the shell and you can take it or you can leave it. I think that takes time. I think if you're sitting there doing that at 20 years old, unfortunately, it's going to get looked at very differently than if you're sitting there looking at 50-year-olds doing it. But I also think that by the time you're 50, you know the better place to do it. I know the places where I can be and the places where I shouldn't be. And in my 20s, I probably was like, fuck it, I'm going to be like this all the time. So
Sure.
maybe we get better at dosing it out in the right moments.
And you're not always going to get it right. And that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Oh my
I
God.
mean, listen,
We should have a whole podcast. What'd you fuck up this week? Pretty sure we all
God,
did.
we would never keep it to a time. Like,
Yes,
it would go on forever.
it'd be a Joe
Because
Rogan episode. This one's 4 hours long.
that's why I've never, ever, ever listened to one because I can't do it. I can't do
We need
it,
to think
Kelly. I
about.
can't do it. Sometimes I have a hard time committing to a movie. I'm like, is there a 30-minute show I can watch? Because like the commitment of a couple hours just seems like a little bit too much. But what if? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, how else do you think you got there? So we talk about me, but how do you think
God.
you got there?
Well, I'm the middle of 9 kids, and
Mm.
my parents are. My mom is great. My dad is who knows, but I'm sorry. I just got a text from a friend, and I need to see
Like
what this says.
you paused, and I was like,
Okay,
"Are you using
okay,
your word?"
hang on. This is classic. So I'm supposed to have drinks tonight with one of my friends, and she sent me a text that said, "Want me to lick you up?"
I.
And then it
You
said,
should just answer back, yes, please.
"The next one is pick you up." And I'm sorry.
Just re- just reply back, yes to both.
Oh God, I'm sorry. I don't even know what we're talking about
That caught
next.
you off guard.
I
You said, "Your
usually
mom's
no.
okay. Your mom's okay, my dad," and then you just kind of
Well,
like froze.
and then I see something that says, "Want me to lick you up?" And I'm like, I'm not dating anyone that I know of. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
Interruption. Hold
I
on.
normally just for podcast purposes, I silence everything but my kids' school. I'm sorry. That was really, apologies. Wow. Whew. That was funny.
I'm not
Just
even going
gonna
to edit this part. Don't
No,
even
you
ask me
shouldn't.
to.
I'm gonna be like, hey, BW, this is all you, sister. But I love that she just asked if she wanted me to pick me up. I'm like, yeah, I do.
Yeah, you
I'm like,
do.
we're going for margaritas and chips. Absolutely.
Sign me up.
Right. Anyways, but my parents had such a terrible dysfunctional relationship, and there were 9 of us, so we really raised each other. So we were very feral. And we're feral people. I don't think I stepped into the role of rock slash caretaker slash fix all fuckery until much later in life. And I think I did it. Actually, it came when I first started out in advertising because I got so much praise for it.
Mm,
And so for me, it felt good on a lot of levels, right? Like, one, it feels good for me to help people feel good.
hmm.
Like, my favorite parts in my life are when I make somebody else happy or help and aid in their success or happiness. If I've said this before, if I could just be Santa and go around and give people like things they want or need and like hugs, like that's what I would want to do. I don't know if they pay for that. I don't know if is there a job where they pay for that? They
I
pay well. I
I don't
because
know,
I'm
I feel
bougie,
like
right? I can't go to prison
you're like,
because
I still need to get paid. I
yeah.
mean, Santa is very famous, so if that counts as
Well, and he
currency,
also gets to be fat, so that'd be cool too. Like
everyone's gonna feed you cookies, and you
every
only have to work one night a week.
I'm
So
gonna
let's think it through.
I want to work every day, but I would like fillets, please, not cookies. Leave me a good medium rare steak.
You
Anyways,
can't have that much meat. You have the meat sweats, you'll never sleep.
speaking of sleep, that is one thing, it's funny when you talk about like being a rock and how you get there and whatever, but when you start slipping, for me, if I am tired, like all bets are off. And when I say tired, I don't mean I missed a little sleep. I mean, if I've been traveling to another country, my time zones are off and I haven't had a decent night of sleep in a week.
You're on a
Oh,
hair's edge.
I'm on a hair's everything. Like I will
Your
want to stay
capacity is
away
low.
from people because I will snap. And I'm not a snapper, but like at that point, at the point that if I'm sleep deprived, I don't know what to tell you. And again, it's not 1 or 2 or 3 nights. It's like when we're getting on a week of no sleep or very little sleep, you know,
It's why it's a device for torture. I mean, we
it's a
can't do it.
thing.
We need it.
It's a
Everybody
thing.
needs it. I know. That's
It's
why
a thing.
that's when you're in menopause or perimenopause and your sleep's all disrupted. You're half fucking crazy because you're like, just let me go to sleep for 8 hours. Good Christ.
But it's like, so it was funny because we talk about this and, I've got lots of sisters and one of them texted to the rest of sisters the other day. She's like, does it mean I'm in perimenopause if all of a sudden I can't sleep? And I'm like, it could also mean a lot of other things, but sleep has been a struggle for me since I was like 30. Like I used to be able
Okay.
to sleep like it was my job. And then like at 30, now I can nap like it's my job.
I am a pro napper. And my husband's always like, well, why don't you just go up to bed? And I'm like, no, that's not a nap. That's going to bed. I will fall asleep wherever, but it will be 12 minutes.
Oh, that's weird.
I'm like a Tesla supercharger. You just kind of like beep, beep, and then I'm good to go. 12 minutes. You don't even need to set an alarm. And it's
Yeah.
all I need. It's like I just need to close my eyes for a little wee bit. I think that's why whether I got it because I used to take call in Emerge, and so you'd go in and do something gruesome and then you come back home and go to bed, or you became that way because you did call. Tomato, tomato. It's one of my skills is
Well,
napping.
that's amazing. My version of a nap is about 2 hours. It's a two
No,
hour
that's just
ordeal.
going to bed. That's a nightmare.
Okay, fine. So going back to what you asked, you said, hey, I think it came when in advertising when I just like
Got
became
praised.
like
You
the
got
jack
praised
of all
for it.
trades
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
too, right? Like I was just say it was like someone doesn't know how to do this. I'm like, I'll go find
I'll go do
out.
it.
Of
Yeah.
course, now my favorite thing to say to my nieces and nephews when they ask me, Aunt Christy, what would you do about this? I'm like, I'd probably Google it first. Did you Google it?
Did
And
you try to
now,
Google?
even more AI, I'm like, you should be asking me no basic level questions
Go to your friend ChatGPT and see what he says.
and see what have you named your chat GBT?
I no, I should though because he's handy. He is a handy fellow.
First of all, let's talk about why it's a man.
I don't know why it's a man. I think because I want it to be a man who goes and gets me all the answers. I don't
Fair,
know.
fair.
I don't need to make it another woman doing all the things.
My Siri is a man's voice because I don't
Is
want to
it?
boss around another woman. I'm like,
My
hey
Siri
Siri, do this.
I think that's probably why I don't want ChatGPT to be a woman. I'm like, "Yeah, girl, you're busy enough." I also changed my I changed my map to a British woman, so I love that she tells me to turn right into the car park.
I think, yeah, I don't know what nationality my man is, but he's but
I'd like it to be Cole Hauser from like in his Rip character. I'd like him to be the voice of my map and anything else that talks to me. And he can even say,
sigh.
he can even do the Beth. Let's park the crazy. He could say that once in a while. I wouldn't hate it.
Does he say park the crazy?
Listen, how come I'm the one giving you
Yeah,
TV
I
now?
don't think he
You
says
probably fall
that.
asleep.
Does he? Go get your man, your chat G because I've heard him say, I don't have time for your crazy today.
Put
Look it
your
up. Okay, so
crazy
while you're doing
away.
that, so when you're a rock and you're close to the edge, what do you do to bring yourself back? And when I say
The aforementioned bottle of wine seems to be time to my
bottle of wine and a good bath,
yeah, okay.
calling a girlfriend and being
I think
like,
a girlfriend.
I am at my fucking wit's end. What sort of fuckery are we all in? And why that, like a good rant. A
Yeah.
good rant
Well, I
will get
did
me every time. I just
start ranting on Instagram years ago. My kids used to give me shit for it, but that was my
I
outlet.
love your rants.
That was my outlet. I just want to show you a sign that I found. Let's put the crazy away. That's from
Does it mean because it's on the internet it's true, or on a sign it's true?
no, it means I Googled it and it said it was Rip's fucking line. I'm gonna find it in the episode of Yellowstone and then I'm gonna record it and I'm gonna send it to you. I might if I could figure out how to put it in this podcast, I'll put it in this podcast. Because if I got a TV line right and you didn't know it, oh, this is a good day.
I've never claimed to be an expert.
But I have claimed to be disabled when it comes to doing this, and I'm proud of
I don't think that's a term you should use for this
okay.
lack of talent that you have.
Yes, a lack of talent in this regard. And when I have one, I'm like, yay, me. So, anyways, so if we're both the rocks, here's the question. We've got some coping mechanisms to how to keep from snapping or come back from the precipice, but how do we actually just like maybe we can never not be a rock, but can we be a smoother rock? You know, maybe not the Boulder and Moab, but like a nice skipping river rock or
Well,
something.
first of all, I never said I was a boulder. So for the fact that you say that to me, like
I'm
really
talking
kind
to
of
myself.
hurts my feelings, Kelly.
You were happy to have been solidly built when you were described that way.
Hey, it beats morbidly obese, okay? Solidly built. I'm like, I can get with you on that. I can
Okay.
get there.
So, I mean, when I say boulder, I wasn't talking about size. I was talking about
I'm
angles.
joking. Oh my gosh, don't be so sensitive. But let's see. Well, basic level self-care, like real self-care. So like I love the wines, but like exercise, sunshine.
Mm,
Oh, I have a new one. So this is like to take me back from the edge. All right, I told you I was going to teach you something
oh,
real
yeah, yeah, yeah.
fun. Okay, so this is what you do. It's what I do. It's my therapist told me to do. So I close my eyes. I put my arms in the air. I put
Okay.
my hands together and I make a sphere. And I go back and forth.
Okay.
And this is Christy. This is what Christy can control.
And these are our
This
boundaries.
is this is safe. This is within Christy. And then I envision my feet on the floor. I put my feet on the floor and envision roots coming out of them, deep, digging deep into the earth's core because I am stable. And so I am here. I am whole in this. I am stable. And then from my midsection is where I allow energy to be received and taken. And I pick and choose which chords I want to let affect me. Is that too, you're like, you're crazy.
No, no,
But
because I am a big fan of yoga and all those
I
things
hate
where we
yoga.
do.
I just can't fucking do it.
You hate,
Anyways, keep
you
going.
don't hate the energy in it. You just hate the
No,
movement.
I'm just like, if I'm gonna go work out, like I want a boot camp. I don't know. Everyone's like, that's not for working out. I'm like, I can't do a boot camp and that. But
Okay, but
going
I
back,
hate to break it to you. When you get in menopause, that's bad exercise for you. Too much cortisol. But anyways, you need to do more of your namaste
a
stuff.
namaste. Well, no, I love it because it reminds me of one thing that I have gotten so much better over the years. I don't have to be everybody's emergency contact.
Yeah, exactly.
And for a very long time, I dumped energy into, the black holes of people. The ones that like it's just you're always just putting it in and putting it in and putting it in. And it's not that I don't love those people or care about them. It's just I know that my inner energy and what I'm giving from my middle is not gonna I can't if I choose that, like 10 other parts die.
That's good advice. I read an interesting book this year during the hard times and I'm trying to find the balance or how to get my positivity back. And I read a book called The Energy Bus. And it's written by a gentleman named John Gordon. And he also co wrote this very short story book called Be a Coffee Bean, How to Be a Coffee Bean. But in the energy bus, the whole concept is you are the driver of your bus. And you, as the driver, have the right to let on or let off whoever you want on that bus.
It's
So
amazing.
if they are the soul sucking energy suckers, the energy vampires, he calls them, they don't need to be on your bus. So in protecting the boundary, well, okay, unless they're work things that you can't get rid of. Yes, Christy, do you have a question? Your hand is up. I love that your hand is up on an Audible podcast.
Sorry. So on the bus note, I love this analogy. That's great.
Mm.
I hate to drive. Can someone else drive the bus, but I can tell them who can and can't get off?
Well, like imagine that if it's an imaginary bus, it's actually not necessarily driving anywhere. You could just be toot toot and not actually have to go anywhere. And there's no
Well,
one going
then
to
am
pull
I
you
a
over.
carnival ride?
For so many reasons, the answer to that is yes.
One from my friend just now.
You're the pretty unicorn on the carousel at the carnival. You're like, hello everybody, would you like on my carousel?
No, I don't ask people if they want to ride on my carousel.
Get off the carousel,
Get
you
off the
driving.
carousel. Kelly,
On
this
that
was
note,
on that note. Let's bring in our outro music and just say goodnight.
it's time. Cue the outro music when we have Christy on a carousel. It actually has circus music. If you didn't catch it the last time,
It does. But also, guys, like, follow, share, do all the things, but be kind to yourselves.
be kind to
Be
yourselves.
kind
And
to yourselves. And
you don't remember what Chrissy just said. I think is so good. You do not have to be the entire world's emergency contact. It is largely a shit show. So strong girl shit. You know what? Sometimes you need to take a break. Right after you answer the group text.
okay, ending with circus tunes. Have a great weekend. I will talk to you soon, Kelly. Much love.
Goodbye, my
Bye,
darling.
y'all.